This painting was such a wild journey. It started with me making a big mistake, and from there it was a roller coaster ride. Ironically, while working on this painting, I get confronted with exactly what I'm wanting to express with it. I started in our old apartment, where the painting just barely fits. After building the stretcher frame for the canvas, I start to stretch the painting cloth onto it. I use linen because for me it's the best painting surface. I'm not using pliers for stretching because I'm deliberately stretching the canvas not so tight. The stretcher frame isn't the sturdiest, especially for the size of the painting, and I want to take this into account. Why not using stronger bars? Yeah, now I would ask myself the same question. Because I will soon regret this choice. The thing is, I had these stretcher bars in the right size lying around, and the optimist in me is convinced I can make this work. You wouldn't believe how exhausting stapling with a power stapler can be. But after stapling 236 staples into the stretcher frame, while simultaneously stretching the cloth every single time, you can really feel it. I just hope our downstairs neighbors weren't at home. Well, now I can start priming the linen. You will soon witness how I learn my lesson about the importance of the right stretcher bars, and also about the importance of sealing your painting cloth before mounting it to the stretcher frame. But before disaster strikes, can you tell me why in such one-of-a-kind moments the cameras always have to be out of focus? There, did you see it? From this angle it doesn't look so bad. But from here it's a different story. It just snapped. The linen cloth contracted so much that it broke the stretcher frame. Have you ever seen anything like this before? You are probably thinking, how can this mess ever get finished and how can I put a price tag of $15,000 on it? Stay with me, it will get there eventually. I really should have known it better. I had smaller paintings with stronger stretcher frames warping so bad that I was afraid they would break. But sometimes we have to make mistakes to really learn something. I guess lessons are best served with 236 staples to pull out of a wooden frame immediately after carefully stapling them in. Now, after I bought new, much more sturdy stretcher bars at my local art store, I can start over without risking that they will give in again. The new stretcher bars are much sturdier. The other bars were the common ones, which are used in most regular size canvases. But why are they even made in such a large size when they can't handle it? Usually you are supposed to seal the canvas cloth before stretching it. A raw fabric without sealing absorbs much more water and therefore builds a lot of tension. The sealer prevents that by making the fibers less absorbent. To be clear, if you don't seal it, it isn't an issue for the longevity of the painting. It can become, how can I say this, a personal burden, as you can see. Why didn't I do this even though I knew about it? Good question. I skipped it because I hadn't a big enough surface where I could apply the sealer. Yeah, that's a lame excuse, I know. To be honest, I could have found a solution, but I thought it will probably be fine. Now that I've put on the remaining coats of primer, and after making myself so much more trouble than necessary, I can finally start to paint. I begin with an underpainting, on top of which I will build the painting layer by layer, but not with glazes like the old masters did. I use the first layer primarily to fill the whole canvas. Because of that, I also don't make a detailed sketch onto the canvas. I like to start a bit chaotic. I think of it as if I would carve a sculpture. I do this because I don't want to copy a reference. I want to reveal the painting from my imagination. Don't get me wrong, I make a lot of sketches before I even begin with the painting. But I don't have a finished sketch which I can use as an exact reference for every step of the painting. On top of that, I also use references. But I never try to copy them. They help me to achieve a certain degree of realism. Some might say that I have a weird way of painting, because I don't pre-draw my composition onto the canvas. And yeah, sure, I could make my life a lot easier by sketching out a composition. I tried to paint in many different ways, but I prefer to start with loose brush strokes, even though it looks awful at first. For the first layer, I use a very limited color palette. Which colors I use depends on the individual painting. In this painting, I'm using a deep red, because I want the characters to have a red undertone. I want the whole canvas covered so that no white spots peek through at the end. But just when I filled the entire painting and got into a nice flow, we had to move. While I prepared my new painting studio, the painting had to wait. I renovated and set up the room, which took me a while. Because I painted the room, built new shelves, new lamps and made everything ready so I could go on with painting and all my other projects. But I don't want to bore you with details, so back to painting. The first layer gives me a solid foundation on which I can continue working. The composition is still my main focus, because it would be a waste of time to go further into details unless the rough shapes are correct. Yes, I'm working more and more on the refinement of the characters, but that serves the same purpose. You will only see if the composition is working as you get more into the details. That all sounds a bit confusing, I know. What I'm trying to say is that I'm working on all the different areas of the painting while trying to not lose the whole painting out of sight. And as I go, I'm constantly changing things until I'm happy with everything. This painting is pretty big, as you might have noticed. I love to paint big. I can't tell you exactly why. I think I love to challenge myself, and I also always admired large paintings in museums and the feelings they are providing. It's not that I only make large works, but some topics just need a big canvas to provide an experience that triggers reactions. As nice as such large canvases are, they take a long time to complete. So don't get me wrong. I really enjoy to work for long periods of time on projects. But as everything takes longer, because everything is bigger, the problems are bigger as well. Enjoying the process is not only the key for having fun with lengthy projects, but also to finish them at all. I remind myself of this while working. But sometimes, when I encounter a problem that isn't easily solved, my frustration grows proportional with the size of the painting. In this painting, my problem is the main character. He doesn't feel right and he doesn't convey the feeling I want him to. When I planned it, I thought it would work great. But you only find out if it does when you actually make it. This is something sketches can prepare against. but I can easily keep working on it until I'm happy. That's the beauty of it. The only thing that really frustrates me is that I don't know what it is what I don't like. But I think I will find out as long as I keep going. Until that, I will keep working on the whole painting, because focusing on only one thing, only the problem area, would be a bad decision. I approached it like that before, and it is a waste of time. While painting, we should always change our perspective and should never focus on one thing, because then we lose the whole image out of sight. In a painting, everything has to work together. If something feels off, the whole experience for the viewer gets corrupted. In case you're wondering, yes, I'm wearing the same clothes this whole time. So you're very lucky that there's no smell feature on YouTube yet. Just kidding, I have the same clothes multiple times, so I get better continuity in my videos. But I wonder if that's really such a good decision, because I'm several days into the painting by now, and I'm not so sure if that comes across so well without me mentioning it. Let me know what you think. There's still a lot to do, but I'm beginning to see the final piece taking shape, and it's getting into a direction where I'm happy with most of the painting, except the main character, for which I haven't found a solution yet. Playing around hasn't brought me much result so far, and to be honest, it stresses me out. Yeah, of course, I reenacted this. But I want you to see that painting can be quite frustrating. Well, at least for me. I just can't help myself. I give everything for my art. And when there is something bothering me for as long as this painting is doing, I can get quite emotional. Needless to say, getting angry didn't help either. What probably was more useful was taking a break. I calmed down and came to terms with the fact that I will just carry on, because that's really the only thing that will help me find a solution. Simply carrying on as before is almost certainly not the most effective strategy. But until I figure out exactly what is bothering me so much, it's the only option I have. As mentioned before, I seek a particular experience, and I will usually only stop or call the painting finished when I'm convinced that I have achieved it. My goal is to illustrate the characters in a way that gives the viewer something to think, something that conveys a feeling, something to evoke emotions. Painting or drawing hands is always a challenge. I think most artists agree on that. Hands are so expressive, almost as much as faces. And they carry a lot of character. Sometimes I forget that. and then I tend to rush them. That's when I screw them up. To get hands to convey the intended feeling, they need to support the character's expression. And of course, if they feel off, it won't work either. We humans notice every little detail in paintings that depict humans, because our natural instinct allows us to recognize what other people think, feel and how they behave. We easily notice when something is wrong. That makes it so difficult to create a convincing painting. So if you want to provide a genuine experience, you need a solution for that problem. A bit of abstraction goes a long way if you don't want to copy a reference exactly. The painting is going great so far, but without fixing the main character, the whole painting will simply not work. So back to that again. I think I finally got to the bottom of the problem. To be sure, I have to play around a little bit longer. You're probably thinking, what is he doing the whole time? Bear with me. After trying to fix it for so long, the problem was pretty obvious. It's the expression, the pose, the light, yeah, almost everything. What I planned simply doesn't work. It's all about the perspective. Yes, my perspective as in my view of the things, as well as the literal perspective I have chosen for the character in the painting. To find a better pose, I'm doing a few sketches. I also made a few reference photos of myself. I'm sorry that I don't show them, but I look so awful in them that it's probably better to not show them on the internet. I use references of myself, but the painting isn't supposed to be a self-portrait. Neither do I try to achieve any kind of likeness of myself. What I want to express would probably work with any person as the motive, because it affects all of us. The references help me achieve a certain degree of realism, but I altered them to bring expression and liveliness to the canvas. I never strive to copy pictures. I always change them, leave out what I don't need or exaggerate them. I'm much happier with the character now. However, there's a lot of work left. But at least now I'm getting the feeling that I can focus more on the details. Because now I'm pretty happy with the structure. The remaining work isn't easy and rendering everything will take quite some time. But now I'm finally confident that the finished painting will get to my desired result. The most stressful stuff is done and it will be pure fun from now on. All the details and finishing touches are a lot of work. But at the same time, they are very rewarding. Because all the structural work from before pays off when everything comes together. By now, I spent a lot of time working on this painting. From the initial idea, through numerous sketches, to the final concept, the construction of the canvas, and finally to the completion of the painting. I need a total of over a month of working on it. That is the primary reason for the price I'm setting. Yeah, sure, I'm using the best materials, the highest quality oil paints, very nice linen for the canvas, and after that relatively minor incident, the stretcher frame is also top notch. In retrospect, I'm quite happy about this mistake. Because I would hate myself now for using that flimsy stretcher frame for this painting. I also use great tools. My brushes of choice are Da Vinci brushes, which are made here in Germany. They are great and I love to paint with them. And because they are made not far from where I live, I'm even more inclined to use them. I'm not sponsored by Da Vinci. That's just my honest opinion. Yeah, I would love to be sponsored by them. But my biggest expense is my time, and art needs a lot of time. That's how I come to $15,000. I simply need to charge that much if I want to make a living. If I would add the time I spent studying the necessary skills to be able to paint such a painting in the first place, then it would of course be even more. But that's not how that works. Obviously, you should compensate for this somewhat with your hourly rate. Why am I using dollars for my pricing and not euros, despite me using euros in my daily life? I have thought about this, and I assume that most people who are using neither of them can imagine dollars better than euros, because dollars are used as the primary international currency. But why am I talking about this? Because I wanted you to click on this video, obviously. No, not really. I want that art and the work that goes into it to be appreciated. Art and artists are so important for our world. And I want to encourage all artists to value your art and the time you spend on it. Don't let anyone talk you out of doing art. And especially don't give up just because someone doesn't like what you are doing. Art is subjective, and not everyone will like your work or my work. So let's make the art we want to make, whether realistic or abstract. What matters is what we express with it. If we make art for the right reason, then we will develop our own unique voice. We will find people who appreciate what we do, and then we will eventually make a valuable contribution. I'm on the home stretch now. All my work and all the little details are intended to make my painting convincing. But again, I'm not going for a photorealistic appearance. I'm thinking of it more like illustrations or comics. Illustrators and comic artists achieve an incredible amount of believability with the abstraction of the characters. Such characters can be more lifelike and convincing than pictures. These characters, who often appear simple, require an incredible amount of skill to convince the viewer. And when art gets to a point at which it is convincing, then it is able to tell a story and evoke emotions. I think it is best said with the words of Mark Rothko. A painting is not a picture of an experience, but it is the experience. So did I succeed? Am I creating an experience through my painting? I don't know yet. Your reactions and those of the people which will look at my painting will tell me. I would really love to show this painting to you for real and not only through a screen. I'm usually a bit more hesitant about this sort of thing, but whatever, I will just give it a shot. So if you have a place where I can hang my 2 meter by 1.6 meter painting to exhibit it, I would be very excited if you would contact me. And now, finally, to all of you wonderful people that have watched this video to this point, please tell me, what do you think? Did I succeed?